Welcome to Psychic Evolution with evidential psychic medium Jamie Clark and spiritual coach and healer Maggie Clark.
And welcome back to another episode of Psychic Evolution. I'm Jamie Clark.
And I'm Maggie Clark, and this is the podcast where you discover the psychic potential within to empower yourself and manifest your psychic and mediumship gifts.
And these abilities are so natural, they're supernatural.
And today we want to talk about soul jobs, soul purpose. Why am I here? We get asked this question a lot, and we really want to take the time to really express our ideas around soul purpose, why we choose to be here, what does that look like, and how can you find that within yourself to improve your psychic development?
And I think that the more we find ourselves within life, the more we find that life within us and begin to become those inner space astronauts, discovering the oneness that we are, that we've always been. And I think that, it's kind of in a great way, the universe has left us alone to find ourselves to go, oh, okay. So I just now found myself that I've always been. And not only that, these abilities that are so natural, they're supernatural, everyone can do. And the great thing is that's exactly the case. I always say, if you have a soul, you're a psychic medium. And when we start to begin to search, begin to find more of ourselves within life, that to me is a great adventure because there is so much more infinite growth and experience. And to me, it's half the fun is the journey getting there. A lot of times life can get pretty serious and it's not so easy. It's not that I don't care, I do. But in any way, keeping it light, knowing that this is but an experience, an adventure. And how do we want to see it? Because it's each individualized and appreciated.
And I believe the soul has two jobs in every lifetime. It doesn't matter who you are as a soul coming onto this planet. First and foremost, we have to remember this is an experiential planet where we can have plethora of experiences: happy, good, bad, evil, light. I mean, you can just pretty much go off the cuff and experience life in so many different ways. And so the Earth itself is a planet for experiences, for soul growth, many, many times. So some people come here just to have a different type of experience than what you can have on other planets or in other types of incarnations. You choose to incarnate, choose a physical vehicle to carry this soul essence around. So you come into this vehicle, and most of the time, your soul, you, have chosen, you know what, I'd really like to experience this lifetime. Whether it's to help humanity, maybe I come in to help animals, maybe I come in to heal people, maybe I come in to protect someone, maybe I come in to be a messenger, to communicate. Most soul jobs are very simplified. And then once we're here, we get to discover how we want to experience that dedication to it. So I've always said our soul has two jobs in any lifetime. The first job is to find itself, and the second job is to be what you find. And it's that simple. Every single one of us on this planet has those same jobs. So right off the bat, when you're asking, why am I here? The first thing is find out who you are. Feel who you are on a soul vibration and then be what you feel yourself to be. And this is where it gets tricky because a lot of times we come here going, well, I don't know who I am. But if I feel I am a dot, 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 fill in the blank, right? And we're just going to use this as a example. I feel I am a healer. Whatever follows the I am statement is what you've just discovered within yourself. And then you get to be what you discover. And so this is something just to think of how simplified this can be when we're pulling out our hair trying to figure out what's my purpose? What am I supposed to be doing with my life? Well, what comes after those I am statements? Because that is where you can start your journey and make your decisions from.
And I think being able to have that idea is that spiritual being, that eternal beingness that we've always been. And A lot of this scientific aspects, these dynamics nowadays that and I'm not a scientist, cannot acknowledge any of that stuff, but I do believe that scientifically they've found that humans are basically energy, vibrational light beings. And with that definition of being energy in quantum physics, they found that energy can neither be created nor destroyed. But I always say playfully as well that, well, wait a minute, if in a scientific way that means we are eternal and we have always been, and yet this universe has only been here 14.3 billion years, we may not be from this universe. And Chi recently shared with me the fact that it's kind of, in a way, the analogy is coming back home to who you are. And he equated it on like we're all standing on top of a ball. And this is our connection to ourselves, the big guy, whoever you want to connect with. The further away you think you're going, the closer you're really getting. That's why it does not matter what way you take. In the end, you know who you're going to find? You. You are the universe. The universe is you. And there are a lot of comments that people will be like, "Well, if you've already attained the end result, then it's all been done." And she shared the fact to go, "Well, that's the essence of oneness. You have 360 degrees to come back home in life experience." And then he shared the fact that potentially, what if kind of like that references that we're not from this universe is that each time we have a comeback around that maybe it's a new universe. Maybe it's another universe with different natural laws, different constants in those universes that just like we function in this one, right? Because that's how we do it here, you function in other ones. Because, it's the adage of information that it was said for quite a while that there is but one constant in the universe, and that is change. And Chi, my master guide, was like, "Well, Jamie, there could be a few other constants besides certainly change, which is, of course, a constant. But I believe that energy can neither be created nor destroyed. So that's a constant. Love is a constant. This is a conscious universe. So consciousness is constant. Your soul's evolution is constant. And there are natural laws that exist within this universe that are constants." I'm like, duh. So again, just more of the scientific aspects of the practicality of spirituality that, it's all one and we're eternal and all of those dynamics. It's giving a little bit more information, a little bit more of an outline to go from the I don't understand and it's all just experience here to I am in a physical experience. And that's how we do it on this planet. And to me, whether it's a human, animal, or an insect, it is only a vehicle to house your soul part of consciousness. To me, animals, insects, they do have souls. They're just like us, just in a different vehicle.
I love your example of being on top of a ball. And, it's like basically you're dropping into an incarnation and saying, "Okay, how do I return back to my source?" Because in every lifetime you incarnate, but then you return back to the oversoul, back to who your essence is in totality. And it's like, how do I get there? And on top of a ball, which way do you want to go? You could go anywhere. Like think of all the amazing places to explore on a ball. If you go down, if you go across, if you spiral down or just drop down. I mean, it's effortless, the choices that we make. And the Earth is a free will planet. So, yes, you could come in saying, "You know what? Your soul's job right now is to learn how to heal. This is going to be part of what you're here to do is to heal the planet and to heal generational issues." Where I'm just using this as an example. So you jump in on top of this ball into this incarnation, into this body, and you say, "Okay, this is my job, but what does that look like? Are you going to choose to heal animals with your hands? Or are you going to choose to heal animals with your words and with opening your heart to love? Are you going to choose to heal generational issues through doing something or maybe not doing something?" It's endless as to how these expressions can take place. And once you're here in the physical vehicle, this is what you have to do. You got to figure it out. Who am I? Why am I here? How am I going to do it?
But that brings up an interesting point to me, and that is, as the eternal beings in this universe, couldn't we also basically, if we have a question, a healer? Okay, now in what way? How about if we soul trace as the eternal beingness and we can tap into other lifetimes, other worlds, other universes of healing modalities and recall that as a unified experience now? because you're just soul tracing, but it's your eternal soul. You are the oneness.
And that doesn't necessarily mean that that's how you're gonna do it this lifetime either. It's just another feather in the cap.
It was another experience in the life.
And usually we remember our past lives, future lives, whatever lives we need to remember because it's prevalent to what we have going on now. We don't need to remember the entirety of our soul experiences and wisdom in one lifetime, but we pull in sometimes through those past lives or through soul tracing what we need to maybe amplify or to support what we're doing here now.
And I think the soul tracing for myself gave me an opportunity to kind of move from I am a spiritual being and I've been here and doing that, which is great because we are. But I also began to kind of put some of the pieces of the bigger puzzle together to see, oh, so in those connections in life experience, that might have contributed to how I am in this lifetime because I seem to be building upon the oneness of who I am, never lessening, but always extending, expanding, and unifying. And I think that for myself, when I was able to start feeling and seeing things a little bit differently because I was open to it, that began to speak to my soul even more effectively. And realizing that the feelings of the soul is a language, the words are the language of the mind. Feelings are the language of the soul, and one feeling is worth 1,000 words and then some. So it becomes a much more, for myself, informative way of receiving information. And then it becomes the feelings which are the language or the information, meaning when people will say it, they'll usually say, I feel happy, or I feel it's an acknowledgement of energy. And so it's not like I happy, it's a feeling of acknowledgement that you're experiencing that particular thing or seeing it that particular way. And oh yeah, each one of us have our own particular way of seeing and experiencing things, and it becomes just as real. And when we can understand, which we do more of, that we're all interconnected, that there really is no other person, it is a different reflection of who we are. That is the variety, the versatility of life to go, man, it's everything. And if we can realize that we're in everything and everything's within us, we begin to live the adventure of life and to become able to have more of that cosmic breath. As I always say, we live our entire life in one breath. For when we come in, we breathe in, and when we go out, we breathe out. Trick is to just breathe and you'll live.
The first time I started learning about soul purpose was through soul readings. My mentor would do these beautiful readings. The reading he gave me, I think I was like 19 or 20. The reading he gave me changed my life forever. And it wasn't like, "Oh, you're here to do this way, and let me spill it out for you," like reading, a whole book and literature about my life. It wasn't like that. It was like, "This is your energy. This is your energy essence, and you could do anything you want with it." And my experience watching all of these soul readings as I was his apprentice and just watching these readings after readings after readings, most people's soul purpose was very clear and it was very easy to identify, and it was simplified. Now, how that takes an expression, again, it's up to how you define yourself. What's the I am statement? But all of it was like, okay, you're a healer, you're a protector, you're a provider, you're a facilitator, you're a messenger, you're a martyr. It was very clear. One word, basically. Maybe you had a couple jobs. You're an example. An example, you could do anything. You could take a feather from any hat. And a lot of old souls can choose to do any of these things because they've done it all before and they know how to do it all. Some of the younger souls, if we even think about old and young in the everlasting continuum of infinity, some of these younger souls might have more of a identification process in that. Old souls, when they can soul trace, when they can recall past life memories or concurrent life memories or future memories, they might have a little bit more insight. But this is one of the things that we develop. And it doesn't matter if you're an old or a young soul, you can always develop these practices of soul tracing so that you get more of a flavor of who your soul essence is and bringing that into an incarnation. But the simplified soul purpose is very simplified. So, what follows the I am? Am I a messenger? Am I a healer? Am I a protector, provider? What am I and how is it going to look? Well, the how is what you choose and the path you choose. And how do you co-create with those statements in effect of how the world and how other people's realities are going to respond to you? Because that's the beauty of an incarnation is it's just not your reality. You're co-creating with a bunch of people's realities, and it creates the matrix.
And what if you're able to start walking that matrix and become that multidimensional being and not losing yourself to life, but finding yourself within it? And I think that that's an interesting aspect with the identity is, am I this? Am I that? It is the choice of acceptance of who you are. Am I? I am. And as I always say, anything you follow up with, you are, not I was, not I will be, I am. And then it becomes the old adage, act as though I am and I will be, which is the reflection of life. The more that I can hold that energy of an acceptance of whatever it is, happiness or empowerment or whatever that is, my soul will start vibing with that energy. It will start to unify my own life experiences, whether I'm consciously connected to it or not, and just kind of bring it up to the ebb of my soul front, so to speak. Now, in addition, chi quite a while ago shared with me, and it, again, just what I'm aware of, that's it. But the Akashic records, and as the eternal beings, remember, we're not just in this universe. And if you need to go to a university or wherever it is that you will find these beautiful Akashic records, she let me know for myself that each one of us, we are the Akashic records. It is that eternal Solodex of information and experience that is within you. It is you. And as he showed me, just as I guess maybe an example was it's coming from, as we perceive it, the heart chakra, but we're consciousness. Anyhow, it's a golden light that shines out from the heart chakra and plays everything. That connection, that soul print of consciousness, also I've experienced in my life where I was just sitting there. And everyone's separate. You're in your own life and all that, and you'll never know what you do to someone else. And I beg to differ. That might be different than what we experience or are aware of. And what I mean by that is I was just sitting there, and always seems to be just casually sitting there and not doing a bunch of stuff. And in an instant, whoop, I became everybody that I have ever interacted with in every way and felt every experience and energy exchange and came back to me with, "And how'd you treat yourself?" That literally was in like a second, but my whole soul felt everything coming back to right now going, "There you go, it's all you." Uh, and so even though we have those experiences that we may not realize what we're doing to the other people, you are. And she also made me aware of a while ago that when we release these dynamics or challenges or experiences or whatever it is, what we're just really doing is releasing our conscious connection to that particular circumstance or experience. You never truly release things because it is all registered within your Solodex as an eternal being. No matter what, even if you're deleting it, it's still there's the residue energy. It's the experience of deleting and all that kind of stuff, which again ties into what value do we place upon those experiences as this eternal being? Growing in always to who we are, the evolution of our soul, like our psychic evolution. The more that we find ourselves, the more that we're able to work with that universal consciousness, that ocean of consciousness, the more that you can expand and find yourself more, not less.
I love the I am, and we see this in so much esoteric literature and ancient philosophy. We could go on and on, to be or not to be, right? I mean, know thyself was written on the Oracle of Delphi. I mean, this goes back and back and back. I love seeing it in the tarot because you see it introduced right away. You have the Fool, which is the number 0, so it's the all that is. It's the cosmic egg. It represents spirit, represents a lot of things. But then right after the Fool, once you jump which represents jumping into an incarnation, from a soul into an incarnation. Once you jump in, we are directly hit with the magician, the number 1. And the 1 is the unity. The 1 is the I am. And so it's asking you to define who you are. Of course, at the magician, you have all your beautiful elements laid out on an altar before you just so you can discover, "Ooh, I've got all these different earthly elements to work with, fire, air, water, and earth, and I can create who I am. And I am a unique individual." It reminds us of our uniqueness. So even in the tarot, the first thing that you do is define yourself. You also see this in astrology. The first thing that you do is you have an ascendant, and it opens up the first house, which says, "I am." And any planets in the first house will help you to define "I am." Any energy that's in the first house, whatever your ascendant is leading the parade, will help you to define "I am." Anything in Aries will define "I am." Anything in Mars will define "I am." So we can find this not only in the tarot with certain cards that come up, but we find this even in astrology, and it helps us to understand how we can resonate with the I am when we begin to know ourselves and dig deep and be like, "Oh, who am I and what do I look like?" Then you can keep on with this I am. And if you need help, you can literally, anytime you throw down tarot cards and you get the magician, there's a definition of this I am happening in your life somewhere. You get to look at where it is. In an astrology chart, you can use your natal chart as like a base, and then maybe your solar return as, "This is how I'm going to define myself this year." So there's different ways that you can work with the esoteric and this ancient, and of course, astrology has definitely stood the test of time, which is why it's still around, and tarot is too. So we have these tools that we can use to also help define us. If we feel like we need a tool to kind of give us another validation or another language to define who we are.
I think in addition, kind of the aspect of when you're doing the astrology or I believe the tarot, from the observer, the one experiencer, you're getting all of these cards of information that are giving you, the one experiencer reading these cards, information. Kind of like our different realities are in a cosmic way. Here's this is kind of working with that. It begins to fill in the bigger picture. And I think that we do this on a day-to-day basis and may not even realize it because it's so much right here in front of us.
This is one of the reasons I only do a soul reading once in a lifetime, because it's not gonna change. You know, your purpose, why you're here, what you chose before coming, it doesn't change. You're here to have a certain type of experience or have a certain type of growth experience while you're here on this planet. So a soul reading is that. It's like it's gonna come from the soul, it's gonna come through the major arcanas because that's the most spiritual aspect of the tarot, and once it's laid out and you can see a bigger picture of, "Okay, I actually came here for a lot of cool reasons, and I came with some strengths, and I came with some challenges, and I came with, a purpose of what I can take back so that this wisdom of this experience in this lifetime can be incorporated into my oversoul, can be incorporated into the everything of who I am, which is the eternal, the Akashic records and the blueprint and who you are as an eternal being. And all of the wisdom that we learn here through the experiences we take back with us as a part of the whole. And so these soul readings, I think they're extremely powerful to help identify soul purpose. It's one way to do it. There are many ways. I think the best way always is to go within and see how you define yourself. But you can use the tools that we have available to us to help really get a picture of, these are the energy dynamics that I wanted to work with. I remember my soul, when my focus for my soul purpose was death, and when I saw that, I was like, "What does this mean?" And it was explained to me from a very esoteric point of view, like, "Okay, we're shifting from the Piscean age to the Aquarian age, and you are here to bring about the death of an old age so that this new age can come in." And my mentor said, "You are the palm bearer to the old age and the midwife to the new." And that's what the death card is. It's like this whole transformational process. And he's like, "You came in here knowing that that was going to drive you, to fuel you, and to motivate you, And because it was a focus for a 16 or 18 card reading, you're like, "Okay." And it took me years to really come into a depth of understanding of what that card meant to me, and I'm still learning to this day the different facets that it takes on as I go through a transformational journey in my own lifetime, and what it means as I'm watching the whole world around me transform with that.
Was there ever an experience where you were doing a soul reading for someone and the information and insight that you shared with them, they clicked with, and then began to manifest things in this life experience? Was there any like major shifts for people that they were doing one thing and after the soul reading, they found their life purpose and they went and created, whatever the dynamic is, and then it began to take off in different ways? Has there ever been any experiences like that you're aware of?
Absolutely, but I think also when you're talking about soul purpose, it doesn't matter if you're aware of it or not, you're always doing it, whether consciously or unconsciously. You can't help but be who you are, right? So you're always fulfilling your purpose. And I want everyone to hear and feel those words. You are fulfilling your soul purpose just by being here. Sometimes it's just the presence that you carry. You have a unique energy. Each and every one of us has a unique energy as we come here, as we exist. And just vibrating that energy into the world, just sitting in that place of emanating who you are is all you ever have to do. It's not like you have to, like, if you say, "I'm a healer," you have to learn a modality and put your hands on a body and open up a healing practice and make it look like it's already looked before in the world. It doesn't have to be that way. You might heal just by walking down the street and smiling at someone, and because your energy vibrates with that of healing, they receive that smile, and some part of them is it's feeling the healing energy that you're emanating, and if they accept the healing, wow, it can be a life changer. Think about how many times you smiled out at someone just to make their day. You open a door for someone, and they're like, "Oh, that was just, like, what I needed to know that the world's gonna be okay." So it can be the little things we do. It's not what we do, it's who we are and how we emanate our essence and sit in the confidence of who I am.
Then you begin feeling the healing. I thought that was great, the way you said that. And it is, it's those feelings of the soul or the feel of the love. I can feel the love. That is what speaks to our soul. And it's that kind of a communication that as the eternal being, we realize each one of us are like a cell in the body of consciousness. God, the universe, he, she, nothing, whatever you want to call it. And each one is allowed to be exactly where they are. No, made you eyeball cells. You need to be down in the finger. No, it allows it to be exactly the energy vibe of what it does. And through the familiarity, in this case, the eyeball cells stay the eyeball cells. They rejuvenate in that way. And then all of these rejuvenations, right, are in the human body. However, I believe there is a time in this life where we do graduate life and this body no longer exists. Then we begin to see, oh, kind of like the body of consciousness. This is just this one universe, and I've got so much more and so much more. And then being on this planet is a pretty big challenge. It's not the most difficult, but it is difficult. But it is the ability to multidimensionalize, taking it from the metaphysical into the physical and creating new realities and the practicality of spirituality. The ability to realize that, to me, everything is spiritual and life is relative. I say, right? We're extraterrestrials to everyone else. Ooh. We are living on the other side of where we come from before here. Right. Life after life after life. As we perceive death in this one, we're born into the next one. And again, each life is a cosmic breath.
And also, I love to look at themes. What has been a theme in your life? And I'm going to use Jamie as an example. Okay. Born into a family of psychic mediums, learning how to develop this gift from a very young age, being activated at a very young age. And what did he decide to do with that? Well, he grew up, moved out of home, and he started working in a hotel. Okay. But does that mean that he wasn't doing what he was here to do as a messenger, as a psychic medium? No, it just means he used his gifts in a different expression. He still used them, but how did it look? Just different than it looks like today, different than it looks like when he opened up his practice of doing readings.
And the preparation, because now looking back on that to go, okay, I did 17 years of hospitality and I was very good at what I did. But it was that dynamic that I will also share those who know me. When I was younger, I would literally take a zero. I would fail if I had to speak in front of the class. Bip, nope, I can't. Now I do. That's what I do all day long. So it became the bridge of connection to go, yeah, but in hospitality, you do need to do the best you can to understand where people are at, what their perspective is, what they're looking for, and the ability to connect in that way. And so after all of those years, 17 years and kind of interesting, 1 and 7's 8, that type of metaphysical into the physical, and then put it on its side for the infinity of your soul's evolution is powerful.
And speaking of that infinity sign, that is also above the magician's head with I am eternal. I mean, the magician reminds you, it pulls in the infinite. He has one hand raising up into the cosmos and one hand pointing down onto the earth, saying, as above, so below. I'm pulling energy from above to manifest it here from the eternal nature of my being. Here I am, right? And so again, you see it come back around in esoteric wisdom. The interesting thing about themes is when we dig in deep. Now get out your journals, everyone. This is going to be your homework for this episode is write down the theme of your life. Jamie hated public speaking. Now he does public speaking. Jamie was trained as a psychic medium. Now he actually is a psychic medium. Things like look at your theme, look at your life, look at what you have experienced, what you were absolutely opposed to, and what you're absolutely being drawn to. Look at how it's played itself out. Is there a theme? That's where you discover your soul purpose. That's where you're like, I get it. I get it. This has always been in my life. This has always been a theme, always something I've thought about, always something I've connected to. Now I experience it different than I did when I was younger and when I was a kid and when I was this and that, but it's always been there. Because if you can look at the themes in your life that have always been there and are still here now on some vibration, you will begin to identify, oh, I've always been that. Oh, ooh, I've always been who I am. Ooh, here I am. So take a moment to journal the themes of your life.
Kind of interesting, but the way that you're sharing that, Mag, is that there was a time, again, I was just sitting there and energy vibe, conscious wise, I just went, phew. I kept expanding like in a wave of consciousness. And each wave whoop, that I would expand to, I was already there. I'm, and I just kept expanding. And the crazy thing is, in a good way, is it's already there. Not that everything's been done, but the eternality of my soul has always been. And kind of like the tarot cards in this case, that's one deck. Those are references of life experience, yet infinity people can work with those very same tools and get a different expression of who they are and what's going on in their life experience, which I think is a big thing, which is kind of ties into a little bit of the Akashic Records, being able to have people come in and tap into their soul as you're reading their vibe.
The other really interesting thing about, deciding to have an incarnation, what's my soul purpose, is we're also going to be choosing who our higher self is. Because a higher self is that bridge between who we are here on this planet, like here I am, little Maggie, and I have this beautiful oversoul, which is the culmination of every single lifetime and everything I've ever experienced. Okay, we'll call that
Mhm.
the oversoul. But there is a bridge that helps me connect to that, which I call the higher self. It's a higher level of consciousness. Sometimes this can be a past life. Sometimes it can be a conglomerate of many lifetimes. But it's that part, it's still a part of you as a part of your oversoul, but it helps bridge you to the everlasting essence of who you are. So coming into every lifetime, as a soul, you're going, okay, this is going to be the best fit of energy so that you can optimize your soul purpose, why you chose to be here. And you choose that higher self specifically because it'll be the one that will have had similar experiences as to why you're here or be able to guide you into a certain vibration of consciousness that will be optimal for you. So my higher self is from the time of Jesus. So he, hermaphrodite, he was, she, I don't even know what to call her, he, she was a hermaphrodite during that time and was a high priestess in the temple of Isis. So Isis's teachings, I have this familiarity within me already. And when you do soul tracing, when you do past life regressions and things like that to remember these things, if you don't remember them on your own, then you can get an understanding of why you chose that higher self to be a partner with you to help bridge consciousness. I think it's a really important thing. Now, we do have a couple of classes on our Psychic Evolution Mystery School. One is on soul tracing to help give you an idea about how to do that. We also have them on creating a vision of your divine self, because if you can see it, then and you can imagine it, then you can actually live it and become it. And so there's a couple of classes there that can really help with defining the I am and help you connect to your soul purpose. So we'll have a link in the show notes if you're not connected yet to our membership. There'll be a link down there if you want to check it out. And please let us know if you have questions around those classes as well.
And the fun is we wanna share our tools and techniques, our perspectives, our experiences, so that maybe it can help you in some way that, for me, I'm always learning from other people. And so for myself, I always say, "Do I really have to go do this to realize it may be not so good to do it, or can I learn from other people?" And in this case, I kind of equate it, like the old fire, "You have to put your hand in the fire." Really, do I? Really? Or can I realize for my own soul's evolution that I may not quite appreciate that experience in this lifetime, so I'm not gonna do it, doesn't feel right. And then you begin to feel from your individualized life experiences the newness, the new way of seeing things, that what if this new updated, this baby universe, only 14.3 billion years, you were ready for to introduce your new vibe of the eternality of oneness into this new baby perspective of maybe growing into the adulthood that has always been there. It's just now, this time, this universe, at this moment.
Mhm. So we could give a lot of examples about, what you experienced growing up and what does that lead you into. But I really think that it's better that you go into your story, your journey to see where it takes you. Some of us feel a little bit lost until we can really define the I am. And it's an important piece because we definitely see more, feel more when we know that we are eternal. It does absolutely start expanding your psychic abilities because now you're seeing that you're bigger than just like this little teeny thing here on the planet. And it does start expanding you into different types of ways of reading energy. When you are willing to sit with your own energy, you will feel other people's energy even more acutely. And that's why I say there's two jobs: find yourself, be yourself. When you know yourself and you go within to actually be who you are, you will have a really amazing psychic read about who other people are. You'll be able to feel them, read them. What is their I am that's pushing out into the universe as a form of expression? When you know yourself, you'll be able to really feel what that vibe looks like from someone else as well.
Well, you realize who you are, and that's the thing is, for myself as well, is what is that way of perceiving your reality so that anything else that's different, but I know that's not my stuff, I'm picking up someone else's, you'll find yourself within life. And that kind of a connection, the more that I found who I was and the way I perceive things, I could pick up other people's energies, but not wear it. It wasn't like, I don't know what's my stuff in there. It's just like, oh, I know my soul print and I know what feels like mine. And then the rest is released, cleared, cleaned, connected. All of it's one anyhow, but the ability to kind of be that filtration system, to be able to read for people, whether it's cards or astrology or psychic or mediumship or any of these ways, it's just a different way of reading energy. Now it's what way? And put your flavor on it, your uniqueness. Everyone can do anything we're doing. It's do they choose to and what level do they want to take it to?
Another question we get around soul purpose is, can my soul job change? And the answer is, how are you identifying yourself? What's the I am? Because literally that will dictate. And I went through this period where I never thought of myself as a healer before. I just didn't. Like, nope, I'm this. And then all of a sudden, I started studying Jitsu and cranial sacral therapy. I opened up a healing practice. And I remember doing a labyrinth walk during my studies. And during the labyrinth walk, I just heard, I am a healer. And it was like a direct thing from my higher self. And it just flowed into me. And it was like, claim it, own it. It's like, okay, you've known yourself to this point to have a certain soul job, but who's to say that you can't identify yourself as a healer? And it took me a minute to wrap my head around, oh, I guess I could define myself as a healer, even though that's not how I thought of my soul job. Thought of my soul job in a lot of different language, a lot of different terminology. Healer was not a part of it. So I sat in that labyrinth walk and I said, okay, I am a healer. And this energy settled over me and it was like, okay, this is just another aspect of my energy. I've probably always had this healing energy. Probably many people in my lifetime have felt good around me and maybe have gotten some healing just by being around me. And now that I'm claiming it, maybe it's going to be a little bit more amplified. So it's not that we quote unquote change our soul jobs, but we discover new things about ourselves. And how we identify ourselves today is how we will navigate our soul purpose and our journey here on earth.
That's part of that eternal soul's evolution, always growing, always experiencing. And half the fun is the journey getting there. Can we have the adventure of life? Can we bring that life to the fullness of living with the fullness of the heart and soul, not so much of the surviving at the bottom of the heart and soul? And so it becomes that different way of just talking and labeling things. It's just it. But it's my way of seeing things, my verbiage and all that, that each one of us are those spiritual beings. Each one of us is the wholeness. And when we can dive into ourselves and find each little aspect of who we are in whatever way, whenever, because there's only the eternal moment, you realize that we're always that eternality, that experiencer that is experiencing and observing the very experience. It's all one.
So, thank you so much for tuning in today and joining us in Psychic Evolution. And find out who you are, be who you are, shine your beautiful, beautiful energy into the world, and have fun with your psychic evolution.
Be you. And this ability, again, not only who we are, but it is so natural. It's supernatural.
So, if you are actively working on your psychic and mediumship gifts, we are going to invite you to our monthly training sessions. They are the second Monday of every month. You will find that on our membership page. Links are in the show notes. And again, our mystery school is there as well. And we look forward to seeing you soon. If you have been enjoying this podcast, we please ask that you go to Apple Podcasts and go ahead and rate this podcast. Leave us an awesome review. We really appreciate your reviews. They mean a lot to us. And thank you so much. If you are listening to this on something other than Apple Podcasts, you can leave a review on our website. We also have a little microphone on the bottom right-hand corner of our website. If you want to ask a question and leave us a question, it will be a voicemail recorded. We'll play back your voice on this podcast and answer your questions. If we can get to them all, thank you guys so much for tuning in. We love you guys.
Love and light, and we'll see you in our psychic evolution.